Sadiq Khan's two-tier faux outrage and hypocrisy has been once again exposed.
Just one further question on Palestine action. You're a human rights lawyer in a former life. Is the government wrong to be ordering the arrest of pensioners simply for holding up placards?
Look, I've got a huge sympathy for those protesting about what's happening in Gaza and trying to bring that to the attention of people in positions of power and influence in this country and overseas. I've not seen the evidence the Home Secretary saw when she made the decision to prescribe Palestine action. Thankfully, we've got a process in this country of checks and balances, so that decision can be checked by judges in the High Court and then subsequently Court of Appeal and Supreme Court. In the meantime, it is the law. This group, whether we agree with it or not, has been prescribed.
Hundreds of arrests at some of those protests, by the way, and he couldn't bring himself to unequivocally condemn the Palestine marches, could he? Well, Sadiq Khan is, in my opinion, the most divisive elected politician in the United Kingdom. The mayor, who has spent the last 3 days deliberately hurling slurs and smears at anyone he disagrees politically with, has today got the utter cheek to claim the President of the United States of America is the divisive one. Just cast your minds back to 2 weeks ago. Notting Hill carnage, I meant Carnival, that saw 167 arrests for drug offences, 50 for possession of an offensive weapon, 21 sexual offences, 4 for violence with injury and 49 for other violence, 55 arrests for assaults on police officers and a major proactive police operation with 100 people arrested, as well as the seizure of 11 firearms and more than 40 knives. Well, that event, everybody, was heralded by Sadiq Khan. In fact, he said this: the streets were alive with music and joy, showing the best of our city, and said it demonstrated the power of culture to unite us. Well, he's right. Stabbings, drug and sex offences and hundreds of arrests do demonstrate what London has to offer since Sadiq Khan became Mayor of London, turning the city into a cesspit of violence and lawlessness. But compare that to the joyous description of the Notting Hill Carnival compared to the Unites the Kingdom rally. Just 23 arrests compared to the hundreds at Carnival and hundreds more at Palestine Action. That's how divisive that man is. He blindly celebrates days of diversity, but let's get real. When he sees a crown of union flags, or a crowd of them, with large crowds of what I would say mostly white people, but not entirely, they're branded far right. To me, that's disgusting, shameful slandering of hundreds of thousands of people. And it's easy for Sadiq to throw out dangerous rhetoric on X and The Guardian, but is it Trump that fans the flames of division? Or is Sadiq just projecting? Meanwhile, across the pond in Washington, D.C., the capital of the USA, Trump is actually delivering for Americans. In D.C. alone, he's seen a 49% drop in crime in just 3 weeks. 100% drop in homicide. That's 0 murders for 13 consecutive days and thousands of arrests of perpetrators of crime. Meanwhile, under Khan's watch, knife crime has soared by 86% over the past decade. Rape is up 20%, 1 an hour in our capital, and theft is surging by 22%. Frankly, Trump's making Sadiq Khan, who's been in office for almost the entire decade, look like a total clown. In fact, since Trump returned to office in only this January, nationwide crime has dramatically fallen across the board. Sexual assaults are down. Gun assaults are down 21%. Vehicle thefts are down 25%. Homicide down 20% on average. So while Sadiq Khan's out calling everyday Londoners and British people far right, who are mostly just fed up with not only him but his boss Keir Starmer, perhaps he should take a look at his own divisive rhetoric and the state of our capital city under his management.
Hello, I'm Bev Turner. Now, it can feel like the money in our bank accounts at the moment does not keep up with the cost of living, and maybe there's a solution. I'm here today with the CEO of TallyMoney, Cameron Parry. Cameron, what is TallyMoney?
Well, Bev, with TallyMoney, you get a current account and a debit card, but instead of pounds, you use milligrams of gold as your everyday money.
So why gold?
Gold traditionally is a great store of value. It has, on average, gone up at over 11% per annum for the last 25 years against the pound. It's tripled in value in the last decade. And in the last 2 years alone, it's increased by 50% against the pound. Banks' savings products just can't compete with that level of growth.
But this isn't just about gold. This is about a currency that you guys have created at TallyMoney. Explain it to me as though I'm an idiot.
So, look, people need to be able to hold their earnings and build their savings in a money that retains its value and remains in their legal control and remains theirs to access, away from government control.
Great. You had me at not exposed to government control.
You should feel safe and happy with your money. You should have peace of mind the more money you see in your bank balance, and that's the type of thing we're trying to deliver and give people choice in the type of money they get to use every day.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Cameron. Thank you.
Well, let's get the thoughts of my panel, Director of the Popular Conservatives, Mark Littlewood, political commentator Russell Quirk, and journalist and broadcaster Nina Mishkov. Mark, I'll start with you, because he's been on a bit of a rally, Sadiq Khan, this week. His own little rally on X. He's been putting up posts that nobody can respond to, interestingly, by the way, calling everyone else far-right, divisive, but he's had a front page today calling Trump the divisive one. Yeah. He's the one splitting people up, dividing communities. It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. It's also nauseatingly performative. I mean, let's be honest. Politics is divisive, right? The reason we have different boxes for different political parties on a ballot paper is because politics divides us. But when you hear Sadiq Khan's words, he clearly, genuinely and sincerely believes, wrongly in my view, that people of his opinion, his brand of left-wing politics, are the good guys and the unifiers. They are bringing everybody together. And the people on the other side of the ledger, these are the divisive people. I mean, what's particularly ill-judged, and I would think the Prime Minister must be pretty furious, is it's perfectly OK to have opinions about foreign leaders, and you might even want to share those in private. But for him to make these sort of announcements and comments on the day when the President of the United States is coming over, supremely unhelpful. So wrong and ill-judged. Quite a combination there.
Yeah, look, I agree. It's theatre on his part, isn't it? And probably no coincidence that Keir Starmer is in an even worse position than he's been at any other point in his hapless 14-month tenure. So is it beyond the realms of possibility that this is a move by Sadiq Khan? OK, he would have to get elected in a by-election as an MP, which is very unlikely, very unlikely as a Labour MP getting elected at this point in the fate of the Labour Party, frankly. But it does rather seem that Sadiq Khan is posturing and that maybe he has got his eye on Keir Starmer's job indirectly. The other thing I thought was very interesting, the piece that we saw in the VT was yet another politician that is a former lawyer seeming to think that politicians, our legislature, our sovereign parliament, makes decisions that a judge can then overturn. It's the other way around. We cannot have this whereby we have judges, whether we're in the ECHR or not, that overturn the will of politicians and our sovereign parliament.
Nina, my big problem with this, and I will defend everyone's right to free speech. In fact, I have defended the people who've been arrested for the Palestine Action Rally. I massively disagree with everything they say, but I think we go down a slippery slope if we start advocating for people to be locked up when we wouldn't like it if it was my politics, right? However, his comments are not helpful. This, especially today on the front page of The Guardian, I'm sure Donald Trump, being a bit of a news hog, will be looking at the front pages today. This is difficult for Keir Starmer, but not only that, it seems to me that Sadiq Khan picks and chooses when he wants to be outraged by something, and that, for me, is the definition of divisiveness. What do you make of what he's been doing over the last few days?
I am no fan of Sadiq Khan. I didn't vote for him. I don't vote Labour. This beef with Trump goes back for years now, when Donald Trump first came to power and was trying to ban Muslims from entering America. and Sadiq Khan had a go at that, and Trump had a go back again. So there is history between the two, and that is why it is. And Sadiq Khan, divisive. He's divisive in terms of people in London. The thing he divides, basically, not politically, are drivers and cyclists, because he's screwed up our traffic. He's screwed up our whole system. So I don't have any time for him because of that. I mean, there are very positive things about him. You know, the congestion zone, the ULEZ zone, that has been proved to give cleaner air, and that must be a good thing.
As you were pointing out, he divides people who go to the Notting Hill Carnival, but not to the Unite the Kingdom rally. Apparently, one cohort to be celebrated, the other cohort.
No, I was going to say, and we're talking about the number of arrests. We're talking about, say, 150,000 on Saturday, and we're talking about literally millions at the Notting Hill Carnival. So in proportion,
well, I'm not sure that's right
kind
in terms of that proportionality. Actually, I think there were a lot more people than that.
No word of the crime in the Notting Hill Carnival.
Can I just also another example of his divisiveness is very, very recently a picture was put in front of Sadiq Khan of a white family in London, and his words were exactly, "That does not represent London."
Yeah, that was
incredibly divisive.
Pack, he wants to show a diverse London, doesn't he? I want to go back to this lawlessness thing, because I was giving some comparisons, Mark, to what Trump's been able to achieve on his stats versus what Sadiq Khan's been able to achieve in his almost decade as Mayor of London. And that is another stark thing for me. And when we talk about performative politics, which I think this all is, by the way, because he's clearly playing to his base when he says this, he knows it's going to rile people up that went to the rally. Many of them were Londoners, by the way, because I was there and I didn't see any thugs or anything racist at all when I was there in the entire time. But of course, that's Sadiq Khan's prerogative. But when we look at his delivery, when we look at what he's delivered for the city, Londoners will say, well, actually, knife crime is going up, rape is up, drug offences, all these sorts of things where Trump is actually clamping down and then getting it fixed in America.
Yeah, and I would say the Metropolitan Police is basically out of control now as well. And he's,
Are they still in special measures?
But wouldn't you say, Mark, that a lot of the problem with crime in London has been caused by 14 years of Tory misrule in that cutting down on the police force? Boris Johnson.
Hang on. Gentlemen, let's let Nina finish, please.
I've only got half a sentence.
Yeah, you can come back. Go on.
So cut down the money for the police, so the police force, the numbers were completely axed. And so that has been a huge problem, and that still continues.
Nina, sorry, that was absolute rubbish.
It's not rubbish.
Right, here's the problem, right? Yeah, okay. I mean, at some point, we're going to have to move on from this 14 years of Tory
No, you
misrule.
can't.
Well, I mean, let's blame it all on the Duke of Wellington or something then as well.
No,
I mean,
it's too recent.
Sadiq Khan has substantial influence over the behaviour of the Metropolitan Police Force. You can argue about how well resourced it should be, but how it behaves is in large part in the Mayor's hands. And it is my concern that the Mayor of London is much more interested in performative politics than he is in crime fighting.
Sorry, can we just be very clear? Can we just be very clear who is
a bad outcome?
Let's just be very clear who is in charge of the policing budget as the Police and Crime Commissioner for London. It is Sadiq Khan himself. He is the one that raises the money from the precept and from council tax.
He begged for more money from Boris Johnson and was not given. And now, but there's so much ill that has to be rooted out.
Back to the point, the illustration that Alex has laid out in terms of the data, doesn't it just show that when it comes to tackling crime, it is a matter of political will? Simple. Yeah. That's it. It's being done elsewhere with political will. It's clear. It's got nothing to do with resource and money and excuses from 14 years ago. No, it hasn't.
It's not an excuse.
I'll tell you what it's got to do with. Mark Rowley, for a start, should be fired immediately as probably the second most woke police commissioner that the Met's ever had after Cressida Dick. That's the first thing you do. You start to remotivate the police force.
May I remind you that Khan got rid of Cressida Dick?
And stop.
Did he get rid of Cressida Dick or did he not?
Did he? I can't remember. Did he?
Well, of course, it's an inconvenient fact of which I'm now reminding you.
With the same in Mark Rowley.
No,
let's hear from Nina.
I was going to say, let's get back to the whole divisive thing on Trump. 80% of Americans now think that America is completely divided. 80%. At the end of his first presidency, America was more divided than any time since the Civil War, and it has just got worse since. So you cannot say that he's not divisive. You absolutely cannot say he's not divisive.
I
and it comes back to
politics
race.
is divisive.
No.
Politics is divisive.
We're talking about race here. We're talking about the comments that were made.
What's he said that's racist?
Well, may I take
you think deporting illegal immigrants is racist?
No.
Of course it isn't.
No, it is demonising other. It is demonising. Almost everything he says, everything he's done, demonising others, demonising foreigners, demonising migrants.
Give us an example.
Yeah, well, but the fact that people are being swept up off the streets.
The illegal immigrants.
But not all of them are illegal immigrants.
Well,
some
99% of them are.
Some, not necessarily, they are not. But what I wanted to say, I was going to take you back to 2017, Charlottesville, when there was a huge white nationalist rally, and Trump did not condemn it. Now, that, to me, was a racist thing.
May I just... I'll come to you, Mark, because... You're entitled to your opinions on Trump. Everyone's got an opinion on Trump, especially me. What I really am focused on here is Sadiq Khan, because he's the mayor of this. He's the mayor of this capital, and we can hold Trump to different levels of account using the free media and stuff. But at the end of the day, he's not our elected politician. Sadiq Khan is. And what I have a real problem with is when people call other people divisive, but they then use the same rhetoric of divisiveness and calling people. When I was at that protest doing interviews with people, they were kids. They're people of different religions, races, backgrounds. I didn't think any of them were racist or what I would call far right is Nazi to me. People who use fascism as a way to get their means. 23 arrests, and I condemned the violence live on air here. Anyone committing any acts of violence should be condemned by all of us, frankly. However, it was just a very, very small number. When it came to one thing in Notting Hill Carnival where there's hundreds of arrests, stabbings and things like that, it's all celebrated. When it comes to things like that rally and Donald Trump, it's all demonised.
Well, that's right, isn't it? So you get the very strong impression, indeed I would say there is concrete evidence, that Sadiq Khan is partial. Right, his position is not, people can have rallies and carnivals for whatever particular culture they want. I don't care, I'm indifferent. No, it clearly isn't that. He thinks that there are certain activities that merit his blessing being bestowed upon, and others that don't, irrespective of the crime levels. And if you are very partial about those things and biased one way or another, you are a divisive politician, not a unifying one.
That's my argument.